Good afternoon, and welcome to Read Aloud Fun. Today, I will be your guest reader, Detective Shalora Holmes, and we're going to read the book, The Sweetest Fig. And as detectives, we're going to use our inference skills to determine what is really happening in this story. So, for you young detectives, when you make an inference, you go beyond what the author's words say to understand what is not said in this text. So you get the clues, got a handy dandy, my uh, magnifying glass. We're going to use what you already know, what you got in here, questions that may come up, and then we're going to put all the pieces together and make an inference. So, first things first, think in your head, whatever could this story be about? What is a fig? These are all some questions that you may already have. Now, as always, what I like to give you is a little something to do. So, when you talk about inferences and using what you know to make a guess, you could also make a mystery box. So, what's in this box? I'm going to give you some clues that are going to go across the bottom of the screen. And at the end, we're going to see if you can tell me what's in the box. And it's something really easy to do. You can take a box, cover it, put items in it. Then you just write out some clues on some note cards, or if you're in school, you can shine them up on the screen. It's all up to you. But this is an activity you can do at home with the kiddos, and you can constantly change it and have them try to figure out. Or they can create their own mystery box and see if you can figure out what they have put in there based on the clues. Now, be careful when you're giving clues. Don't give too many and make it really easy for them. Another way that you can do this is you can put your item in the box, tape it all the way down, and just have like a little opening, and they can have to stick their hands in there and using a few clues, because of course if they're sticking the hand in the box, you don't want to give them too many clues, and their sense of touch to try to figure out what's in the box. So it's all up to you how you do it. Okay, it is totally up to you. All right. So, with that in mind, you should see the clues going across the bottom of the screen. Let's get started with The Sweetest Fig. And this book is by author Chris Van Allsburg. The Sweetest Fig. Mr. Bibbit, the dentist, was a very fussy man. He kept a small apartment as neat and clean as his office. If his dog Marcel jumped on the furniture, Bibbit was sure to teach him a lesson. Except for on Bastille Day, the poor animal was not even allowed to bark. So there's Mr. Bibbit, and there's poor Marcel. And if you notice, Marcel is on the furniture. He has his back turned, and Monsieur Bibbit has a rolled up newspaper. Hmm. One morning, Bibbit met an old woman waiting at his office door. She had a toothache and begged the dentist to help. But you have no appointment, he told her. The woman moaned. Bibbit looked at his watch. Perhaps there was time to make a few extra francs. He took her inside and looked in her mouth. The tooth must come out, he said with a smile. When he was done, the dentist said, I will give you some pills to kill the pain. So look how he holds the lady by her face, and look at that evil smile, is what I would call that. He seems to be rather enjoying yanking this lady's tooth out. The old woman was very grateful. I can't pay you in money, but I have something much better. She took 2 figs from her pocket and handed them to Bibbit. Figs, he said angrily. These figs are very special, the woman whispered. They can make your dreams come true. She winked at him and put her finger to her lips. It was clear to Bibbit that the woman was crazy. He set the figs down and took her by the arm. When she reminded him about the pills, he said, I'm sorry, only for paying customers, and shoved her out the door. So at this point, if we had to give some character traits for Mr. Bibbit, what type of person would we say he is? Think about how he's treated Marcel. Think about how he's looking at this lady. That evening, Bibbit took his little dog to the park. Poor Marcel loved to sniff the tree trunks and bushes, but whenever he stopped, Bibbit would pull sharply on the leash. Just before going to bed, the dentist had a small snack. He sat at his dining room table and ate one of the figs the old woman had given him. It was delicious, possibly the finest, sweetest fig he'd ever had. Doesn't get a dog in it. In the morning, Bibbit dragged Marcel down the stairs for his morning walk. The steep steps were hard for the short-legged dog, but Bibbit wouldn't think of carrying his pet. He hated to get Marcel's white hairs on his beautiful blue suit. So the dog has very short legs. Look at how Marcel looks in this picture. Why do you think the author put this picture in when he tells you how Mr. Bibbit walks Marcel? As he walked along the sidewalk, Bibbit could not help noticing people looking at him. They're admiring my suit, he thought. But when Bibbit saw his reflection in the window of a cafe, he stopped in horror. He was dressed only in his underwear. Wonder what happened to that suit. The dentist turned and ran into an alley. Sacre bleu, he thought. What has happened to my clothes? Then he remembered the dream he had last night. In his dream, he stood in front of that very cafe dressed in his underwear. Something else had happened in his dreams, and Bibbit struggled to recall it. Marcel looked out from the shadow of the alley and began to bark. The dentist looked up and saw the rest of his dream come true. So he runs into the alley, and then he realizes, hey, this happened in my dream, but something else happens. And that about that time, Marcel looks out and he starts barking. No one noticed Bibbit as he ran in his underwear. All eyes of Paris were fixed on the Eiffel Tower, which slowly drooped over as if it was made of soft rubber. Bibbit understood now that the old woman with the figs had told him the truth. He would not waste the second fig. So the other part of his dream, not only did he stand naked in front of the storefront, but he dreamed that the Eiffel Tower was bent over like it was made of rubber. Over the next few weeks, a reconstruction of the Eiffel Tower began. The dentist read dozens of books on hypnotism. Each night before he went to sleep, he gazed into a mirror and whispered over and over, Bibbit is the richest man on earth. Bibbit is the richest man on earth. So let's think. He pulled the lady's tooth. She couldn't pay him. She gave him 2 figs and told him they were magical. He ate one, and everything in his dream came true. And now he's going through all of this, talking to himself and hypnotism, so he doesn't waste the second fig. Soon in his dreams, that's exactly what he was. As he slept, the dentist saw himself steering his speedboat, flying his airplane, and living in luxury on the Riviera. Night after night, it was the same. One evening, Bibbit took the second fig from his cupboard. It would not last forever. Tonight, he thought, is the night. He put the right fruit on a dish and set it on his table. Tomorrow, he would wake up the richest man in the world. He looked down at Marcel and smiled. The little dog would not be coming along. In his dreams, Bibbit had Great Danes. So now he's ready. He's hypnotized himself. He's made sure that he dreamed the same dream over and over. And now he's ready to use his second fig. And he looks at Marcel and like, you're not going. As the dentist reached into his cupboard to take out some cheese, he heard the crash of breaking china. He turned to see Marcel standing on a chair with his front paws on the table, chewing the last of the fig. Bibbit was furious. He chased the dog around the apartment. When Marcel ran beneath the bed, Bibbit yelled at him, tomorrow I'll teach you a lesson you'll never forget. Then the dentist, angry and heartbroken, went to sleep. So all of his chances of becoming the richest man in the world went up in flames when Marcel ate that fig. Hmm. So what do you think's gonna happen? Well, he's had a good night's sleep. Let's find out. When he woke up the next morning, Bibbit was confused. He was not in his bed. He was beneath it. Suddenly, a face appeared in front of him. His own face. Time for a walk, it said. Come to Marcel. A hand reached out and grabbed him. Bibbit tried to yell, but all he could do was bark. Hmm. And that, my detective friends, is the end of the sweetest fig. So, using your detective skills, have you figured out what happened to poor Bibbit? Note what it said at the end. He was confused. When he woke up, he wasn't in the bed. He was under the bed. And his face was looking at him underneath the bed. But his face said to him, come to Marcel. And Bibbit tried to yell. All that came out was a bark. And there are a lot of lessons that you should have learned from this book. Now, has anybody figured out what's in the box? The clues have been scrolling across the screen while I was reading the story. Does anybody know what's in this box? I'll be looking for comments and see if anyone has figured out what was in the box. And if nobody gives the right answer, when we have Read Aloud time Tuesday at 6 o'clock, I will tell you what was in the mystery box. I'm Detective Sherlara Holmes. I certainly hope that you enjoyed our Saturday afternoon Read Aloud time. Until next time, ta-ta for now, and happy mystery hunting.